How's it going, guys? This is Coach Paul, and we're back for another Chalk Talk. So today's discussion, I want to talk about fake offers. So, it's social media can be a very good thing to expose yourself, or that can be a negative or a positive as well. You can get exposed negatively or positively. But this video is about the fake offers, and this is what parents and athletes need to understand. And what I'm about to go over is not to belittle or downgrade athletes who are getting offers or they're posting things on social media that they're offered or they're signed. So, this is more for the athletes who get discouraged when they see these type of social media posts in offers, and it discourages athletes to think that they're not getting anything. So this is really why I'm doing this video. So don't take this as a negative for the ones who have these social media posts. All right. So, number one, you might have seen these. You might have seen it before, where these young athletes, they could be sixth graders or middle schoolers, who are getting offers from D1 schools. Now, is that a real offer? Maybe. But here's the thing. You got to remember, if they're in the sixth, seventh, or eighth grade, number one, the coach who is offering this to, this athlete, who's to know what's going to happen within, if they're in the sixth grade or let's say eighth grade, what's going to happen in the next 6 years or so, 4 to 6 years or so in between when they actually sign, because you cannot accept an offer, or nothing's official until that signing day, which is typically that senior year, on a certain date. So what's going to happen between the next 4 to 6 years? So what I've seen throughout my time of playing, what I've seen throughout my time of training athletes, you have athletes who are incredible when they're young. They could be 6 years old, 8 years old, 10 years old. Like we see it in flag football all the time, or youth tackle football, where you see these standout kids. And the problem is, you don't get discouraged as a parent for your young athlete when you see that these type of kids are producing the way on their field so soon. Number one, I've seen it happen because maybe they did. I have trained athletes at the age of 5 who by the age of 6, 7, 8 get on that field and they're just different. And it's because they were taught how to do these movements and things that they're producing on the field. Then you have the other athletes who are just God given, like they're just athletic and they're just like that. They're born that way. Now, two directions can go here. The one who didn't never train, that was God given talent. Now, here's what I've seen throughout my time, because there's no such thing as sports performance back then. Um, these athletes wouldn't train. So how they say you can outwork talent, right? You definitely can, because I've seen it, where the talented kids that were God given, number one, they might not have grew anymore. They were just taller at that age and they just never grew after that. And everybody else surpassed them in size, which means they got stronger and faster than those kids. So that would mean that kid can't be comfortable just being talented. They have to get into some type of training where, they're going to keep that up or get better and progress beyond. Then you have the kids that do training with us that would come see us every off season or throughout the year consistently, and they're progressing all the way through. So again, let's go back to the recruiting part. Now, anything can happen within those 4 to 6 years. Number one, they might not grow. And that's a big thing for recruiters is, the eye check is what they call it. Being a certain height for a position is key. And for example, for an O lineman, I know college recruits that won't even give a time and day to a lineman in high school if they're not at least 6'4" in height. Okay. So they straight tell me, Paul, if they're not 6'4", don't even bring them up. So the eye check matters. All right. Number one. So for a D1 school, at least. So again, we don't know what's going to happen in between those 4 to 6 years, whether, injuries could occur because they're not doing proper training, or they're overplaying and overdoing it. And then these offers will mean nothing. Second thing that could happen is that coaches that gave him the offer 4 to 6 years ago is no longer at that school or no longer coaching. So where does that offer go? Nowhere. So, social media is crazy because it can fool you into a lot of beliefs that are not true. All right. Or it's just a hype. It's just building a hype so that it makes the school look good. Yeah, you hyping up the kid. But again, to me, it's overhype. And at the end of the day, if the kid doesn't end up getting the offer, is not as good as what the hype is, then it just makes that kid look bad, in my opinion. So I've even seen it where, you have certain recruiting agencies having high schoolers, high prospect high schoolers, um, do an interview with verbal commitments too soon, because the signing day is a whole different ball game, because things can happen from that verbal commitment to the signing day where that athlete might not go to that school, and then it might make him look or her look bad because they verbally committed to one school. It makes them not look loyal to commit to that school when signing day comes. So I think that's premature. I think it's a social media gimmick just to hype things up. Sometimes even for the recruiting agencies that give these stars, right? Say for football, they give 3-star, 4-star, 5-star athletes. Now, don't get fooled by that either, parents and players. That can be bought. Basically, if you were willing to give money to this recruiting agency for the stars to make you look better on paper or with that star, they'll do it. So don't get fooled by these stars. These stars don't matter. The worst that I see is when they're getting these ratings based on 7-on-7, football play. And some shift has happened where some coaches might look at that, but majority don't care about 7-on-7 film or play, because I've seen many great 7-on-7 football players as receivers, as quarterbacks. But once they get the pads on and they get in that different environment, not the same athlete. All right. The quarterback is not as strong because now he's got to rush and not throwing as well because of the pads in the helmet. Receivers grow alligator arms, and what I mean that as, they don't grow arms, they get shorter, right? They no longer reach out for balls like they did when they know they're not getting hit, and they're just not the same player mentally when it comes to tackle. So again, back to recruiting though, fake offers, right? Don't believe the hype. The second form of these fake offers, and I only say fake like they're real, but they're not, because in my day, when you got an offer, when you use that word, I got offered from a college or recruiter, that meant you got a full ride scholarship. You got your athletic scholarship, and you're covered with your tuition and everything, room and board. You might get a little per diem to live by on allowance, and that's how you were in as an offer. Nowadays, I see more and more, because these colleges need to hype their school and get their recruiting up. Now, I don't believe every offer I see, especially if it's a school that I know for sure does not give athletic scholarships. Like D3 schools do not give athletic scholarships, period. You can only get an academic scholarship. So when I see these schools saying offered, or, players are posting up the flyer that they got offered by their school, like, what kind of offer is that? That's the question you got to ask yourself. Or if an athlete got an offer from a D1 school or any school, what exactly? Nowadays, you don't know what kind of offer is made, because college is a business. You guys see it with the NIL deals. And I mean, it's just insane today where we're at with that. And it's only going to get worse. I mean, there was no rules or guideline when the NIL came out originally. And for me, in my opinion, when I first saw it, I was like, man, if they don't have rules on this, it's going to get crazy. And look, we even got to a point where, JUCO, junior college schools, are now not counted in your time ticking, when you play for a JUCO. So if you play at a junior college for a year or two, those years used to count moving into a Division I school. So if you played 2 years of Division JUCO, when you got to a D1 school, you only had 2 years left of eligibility to play. But because of the NIL deals, and one quarterback said, I'm losing out on money, why don't I get back my JUCO years? They won the case. And now JUCO doesn't count. So if you played 2 years in junior college and you transition to a 4-year D1 school, now you still have eligibility of 4 years. I mean, it's kind of crazy. I mean, that's kind of how it works in a nutshell. So what kind of offer is being made? That's the question. Don't get fooled, players and parents, to think that, you know, the offer that you see posted is a legit offer. So is it an offer? Most of the offers you see is just to have a spot on the team, which means you are paying full tuition. You have to figure out your financial aid or your monthly payments, just like any other academic student who doesn't play sports. All right. So that's one way in. When they say offered, it could be just an offered spot on the team. Maybe it's an academic scholarship. To me, in my opinion, is way stronger than an athletic scholarship, because in an academic scholarship, the only way you lose it is if you get bad grades, and then you lose your academic scholarship. But here's the deal with an athletic scholarship. It could be pulled from the athlete in more than the grades. If you don't get good grades, now you're setting up yourself to lose your athletic scholarship. What if you get injured? Schools are not binded to keep you on the athletic scholarship. They might release you so they can open up that scholarship to some other athlete. So, you know, I'm just saying, it's a business at the end of the day. There's a ton of money involved in, you know, NCAA football or sports in general. And, you know, but football especially generates a ton of money for these schools. And that's why I'm glad there is the NIL deals, because my day, I think we only had like a $500 allowance to live on a month. And, you know, whereas the kids nowadays are getting, you know, six figures just for signing an NIL deal. So it's insane where it's at today. But again, for the athletes who just love the game, I don't care what sport, don't get fooled by the offer. The fake offer is what we call it. All right. You just stay in your lane, get with the right people. Like, we have a recruiting part of phase one where we help athletes and guide parents on how to actually do it yourself, you know, where you don't have to pay agencies to get recruited. Don't get fooled by all that stuff. All right. Your high school coaches are going to play a role in this as well. So make sure you get with the right coaches that are going to guide you to getting offers. Like, if a coach is asking a lot from you in the off season, you need to come to our workouts, even if it's not mandatory. You need to play for our 7-on-7 team. You need to do this. You need to do that. And they're talking to you like that, but they never have a conversation with you on, hey, you know, Tim, I got this college recruiter who's interested in you. I want to hook you guys up together. If you're not having those conversations with your coaches in high school and they're asking a lot from you, then you got to question. Like, it should be a reciprocation. I do for you, you do for me. You're asking a whole lot of me. What are you doing for me? All right. Even if it's a smaller school, because honestly, even here, when we guide kids and parents into the recruiting process of college, we have to be very realistic at what level you play at, because it's a trust relationship between us and the recruiters. So if we hype up a player and that's not really who they are, that makes us look bad, and they'll never come and ask us our opinions again. So because we do combines, we have legit numbers. They trust that this is what we do in sports performance. Running a 40-yard dash, your vertical jump, broad jump, 5-10, 5 drill, L drill. They would trust that we have the numbers, because we train, you know, college guys who want to get an NFL draft or their pro days for their combine. So they trust in the numbers we give them, number one. They trust in our opinions on what this athlete is capable of doing in the level of play. So if they're a D1, they got the eye check, number one, that's first and foremost. Number two, they have the physicality to go ahead and play at the D1 level with film, legit. All right. Then we got to be realistic. Okay, they're not D1 because of their height and size. Then they might be a D2, D3 type of player, or NAIA type of player. And look, at the end of the day, none of it is wrong, because you got NFL guys that came from JUCOs to D3s to NAIAs. I mean, you have NFL players from every part. The thing is, wherever you end up, what work are you putting in, and what numbers are you producing when you're out there playing? So, you know, again, this is for the ones who get discouraged, that don't know which way to go, or they see the hype on social media. Don't get caught up in that. All right. So get with the right people. Like, we work with recruiting as well. So again, be very careful with recruiting services. Be very careful what camps that you choose to go to. Not every camp is legit. Like, meaning, not saying it's not legit, but here's the difference. My number one rule: if you're paying to attend this camp, then you're just donating money to the cause. If you're invited, like a lot of these camps will say it's an invite only, but you still have to pay, then I'm kind of weary about those, depending on the reputation of the company hosting. All right. Colleges will have open football camps, for example, or soccer camps or whatnot. But you know how many kids attend these? And if you're just signing up and donating to the cause, hey, great, go for the experience. But if you're looking to get recruited, then you have to make sure the invite comes from a coach. You're not paying for it because they really want to evaluate you. That's how you know it's legit. So again, we can help you, guide you on what camps and what's legit, and give you our opinion, whether if it's just for the experience of, man, I always wanted to go, to USC, on the field and get in front of their coaches, and I just want the experience, then cool. Then if you got the money to spend, do it. But if you're looking to get recruited by USC and you're not the one getting invited in that manner, then you're just donating to the cause and enjoying the experience. So I hope that all makes sense, guys. We'll dig deeper in more videos. If you have any questions or you're looking for training, www.p1hawaii.com. You can give us a call at 808-800-7150. Man, you guys remain blessed. Take care. Peace.